Oh, good evening, everybody. Good evening. Good evening. Okay, this is Tuesday, what I call as the Truth Tuesday. All right. Now, today, the theme that I'm going to share, like what I mentioned in my last video, is going to be something on health and wealth. Where both of them are actually, both of them are actually interconnected, and I'll show you how. Right. So, let me share something which is what I think to be, upon my reflections, to be an honest reflection with you today. Okay. Now, most people think momentum comes from motivation. I used to believe that too. Uh, for those of you who know me, especially my friends, okay, and who have came to my home and all that, you know my collection of motivation books or personal development books are a lot. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that motivation is not important. It is, but it is not overall encompassing. It's not the everything, so to say. Because I realize this motivation does fade. All right. Now, what really keeps me going as I go along this 60-day journey, and I found out those who have gone through such similar journeys before, is this: what determines what determines how you grow, whether you grow or you break, is this: the word capacity. Yes, that's right, capacity. Okay, CAPACITY. All right, capacity. And why is capacity so important? Now, capacity is shaped by two things that we often separate, but shouldn't: health and wealth. Yes, you got me right. Capacity shouldn't be separated by these two factors: health and wealth. Now, it's not meant to be a rhyme and all that, okay? It's not meant to be a nursery rhyme and all, but it is true. Health and wealth determines your capacity. And how do I know? Okay. Now, in my line of work and even in my own life, I've seen the same patterns repeat, both in myself previously and also my clients and my friends, right? Now, you see, people don't change because they want to. Yes, they want to change, but doesn't necessarily mean that they will change. Now, people change, I realize and I observe people change because life forces them to, especially when they know avoidance is more expensive than changing itself. That's what I always say in my preview. When the avoidance of change is more expensive than change itself, people tend to change. For example, a health scare, an income shock, a sudden income shock, burnout, which is constant, but quiet, okay? A sudden disruption that makes them stop and rethink everything. In Reason from Ashes, I describe these moments as the 9Ds. Okay, if you have attended my preview before, if you haven't, feel free to come and find out what these 9Ds are. All right, not as theories, but as a real threshold that people hit when momentum collapses. Most people think and meet these moments of most people actually what I want to say is this: most people actually meet these moments unprepared. Whenever they face any of these 9Ds, most of them are vulnerable, defenseless, and they just don't know what to do. Not because they are lazy, but because they were running on motivation, not capacity. Now, you see, in tackling any of these 9Ds, motivation alone is not enough. You must have the capacity. And that capacity is derived from two factors. Remember what I mentioned? Health and wealth. All right? So, here's the truth that we rarely talk about, or we don't even want to talk about enough. When momentum collapses, it's often not the adult self that panics first. It's the younger self. You know what we call this part, right? Have you heard of this term called the inner child? Now, the one who learned to survive early, the one who learned to be strong too soon sometimes, the one who learned to please, to push, and to endure. For many years, we tried to silence that voice, or even outrun it, or pretend it doesn't exist. Or still, we try to suppress it, silence it. But unhealed younger selves, this is what I noticed, ends up making adult decisions and we end up paying the adult prices. Okay? Think about it. How many times, okay, you behave in such a way that only for you to reflect that, okay, why have you made that decision? And you paid a dear price for it. Because, to be honest with you, your inner self, your inner younger child, okay, has not been healed, right? How? You see, yesterday during a session, I shared an exercise with a client that once changed my life, really changed my life, and I still do it at least 2 to 3 times a year, right? Now, this exercise involves having an honest conversation with your younger self. Yes, that's right. Well, I start with my 5 years old, my 10 years old, my 15 years old, right up to my 45 years old. Okay, my most recent 45 years old. All right. Now it's like 555, and you'll be wondering, Gary, isn't that a lot of younger selves to talk to? It is. But here's the thing. When I speak to these younger selves, when I, chat with them, face to face, in the quiet time, it's not to criticize, it's not to correct, it's not even to fix, because you can't fix the past. You can't change the past. But this is something I want you to understand. Why do I speak to them? It's to listen. Those of you who have heard that they say, do not look back to the past, or the past is already gone and all that. I realize that these people may be well-intentioned, but by saying forget about your past, I think they forget one vital clue. A lot of us actually dropped the opportunity to be more self-aware in ourselves by sidelining, pushing away our younger selves. Now, this is not some voodoo or quasi-spiritual shit, okay? Nothing, sorry for my language. There's nothing of that kind, okay? But as I realized, okay, when I had conversations with my younger selves, I actually realized there were times, there were certain gifts, there was certain greatness in me that I failed to acknowledge as I grew and grew, as I moved, okay, just for the sake of, momentum and speed, okay. And I sort of forgot, okay. And it was my younger selves that actually remind me, even those mistakes that I choose to regret. But I learned regrets is not healed if we can't face it with truth. So all these younger selves, I just take it as they are not criticizing me, they are not trying to correct me, and I'm not there to fix them. I'm there just to listen what they have to share, to recognize what they have carried when they didn't have the tools, the safety, or the clarity. That younger self wasn't weak, they were just surviving, because knowing what I know right now, they would have made better decisions, but that's not my intention. As I said, not to fix them. Knowing what I know right now and comparing to what they have done or decided back then, I realized that, hey, they are sharing something from their point of view, POV. And I realized that I can carry this. This is the truth that I need. So when you face them, okay, this is not about bravado and all that, but you face them, you certainly pick up some nuggets of wisdom, some dose of truth that you really, really need, right? Now, you see, growth doesn't begin by rejecting those past versions of us. In fact, it begins by honoring them and thanking them, and gently telling them, thank you very much, I will take over from now on. It is not to abandon them, but to embrace them and accept them, for they have served you, and also to lead them. This is where health and wealth comes back into the picture. Without health, decisions become emotional. I notice also consistency can also break, and even momentum becomes fragile. And without wealth at the same time, health becomes reactive. Choices feel constrained at times, and even stress quietly accumulates. When either One is fragile. The 90s are never far away. Okay? When either one of the, whether health or wealth is fragile, the 90s are not far away. In fact, they are very close. Perhaps they may even be at your doorstep. That's why I no longer chase motivation. I build systems. I build structures. Systems that stabilize my energy, systems that gave me options, and systems that allow me to continue even when life doesn't seem to cooperate, even when I don't have a so-called good day. All right? Okay, you see, Truth Tuesday reminds me of this, and perhaps maybe to you, okay, as a reminder. Momentum isn't speed. It isn't even a hustle. It isn't also about pressure. It's about the quiet ability to continue because your foundations are strong enough to carry you. And sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is to acknowledge your younger selves within, who's still waiting to be heard, and to tell them, I've got this now. Question to you tonight is, who is leading who? Alright? So, thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in. My name is 𝗪𝗿𝗪𝗊𝗀 from Reason from Ashes. Alright? I'll be having a Wednesday night preview tomorrow night, and I will share the details as you can find it in the caption. Thank you very much. I hope you have a wonderful Tuesday night. See you tomorrow then. Thank you.